Rakasuripa was still stretching when he finally noticed his owl, which was wearing a light knight helmet and a metallic collar, perched near him to get his attention. The sword and shield hunter immediately recognized this, as the older man was needing him for something important. "What do you have for me, Akita?" he whispered to the owl as he fed and petted it. Many gasped at the host giving affection to the nocturnal bird of prey. "He has an owl for a pet. That's so cool. It's so cute. RWBY-kun. I need one of these in my life." Weiss baby talked with stars in her eyes. "That's a kohut. Just like palicos and palamutes, they're faithful animal companions. Of course, we don't bring them into battle with us, though. We mostly use them as normal pets. Carrier pigeons that bring us only the absolutely most important mail, or have them carry a camera to take pictures and/or videos of us." Teko explained. "Normally, I'd say that carrier pigeons are absurdly outdated, but somehow, it works for the hunters. It's rather quaint and fitting." Winter admitted. "If by quaint, you mean the cutest thing ever." Cinder, surprisingly, gushed over the owl. Alrighty then, let's get this party started," Raka said as he jumped off the top of the building and landed on his feet, a few feet away from the older man with his back turned to him. Turning around, he knelt with respect. "Elder Fugen, you needed to see me for something?" he asked, before being presented with an envelope. "A letter? Wait, from who?" he exclaimed. "Huh. He looks like a combination of the commander and the admiral." Yamnote. "Oh, he's Elder Fugen, the man in charge of Kamura village where Saira is. So, yeah, he is like the commander, but he's actually competent. He actually steps up to fight when he has to and plans to keep all of his people safe, rather than come up with schemes that will get most of them killed." Razara said. "I like him already," Ironwood declared. "I wonder who sent him the letter, though." Rain wondered. "Quite. It must be someone important for such a reaction." Ashvin noted. A few minutes later, he was immediately in the gathering hub and heading towards a female veteran hunter with white hair and Nargacuga armor. "Hey beloved, how are you holding up?" he asked with a soft voice. "How nice. He has a special love," Kira said with a smile. "Ugh, get a room." Emerald groaned. "Yeah, they definitely should." Blake said, somewhat starved for smut since they've been here, since she couldn't summon her ninjas of love books like they could with food. He then said about opening the letter. "Alright, let's see what this letter says," he said, although he couldn't help but chuckle. "I wonder how Sai and his family are doing," he wondered. But with that thought out of the way, he finally got to actually reading the letter. "Dear Rakasuripa, due to complications with my high blood pressure and the commander of Astra overworking me like a Celta's queen to her minions, I may need an extra set of hands." He read the first sentence, quietly expressing his concerns for Sai and a bit of anger at the commander. "Oh, so he and Sai are friends? That is nice," Penny said. "Oh yeah, they trained and sparred together, which is why he knows the situation is serious if Sai, of all people, has to slow down for health reasons, and why the commander is the worst for putting him through all that." Katana explained. "Well, I commend him for helping a friend in need," Belinda praised. He had an upset look on his face at the condition his friend was in thanks to the commander. "Figures." He scoffed angrily at the thought of Astra's leader, before continuing to read the letter. "So, I was wondering if you could help with the new recruits in your current area of work while the nurse tears a new one into me and the commander. Thanks. Best regards, Sai Blade." He finished reading the main request on the parchment. Okay then. So, he's doing Sai's camera monsters for him. Cool. Wonder what's next. Ruby wondered. But what about Saira? Doesn't she also live in Kamura? Why couldn't she help? Did something happen to her? Summer asked, concerned for the young demon girl. Well, she was a little busy with a lot of larger scale monsters at that time. She didn't really have time to go and get footage of a random monster. Katana explained. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. The Rose matriarch admitted. He was about to close up the letter until he noticed more writing near the bottom of the letter. Oh, and it says, "Yes, congratulations on your new relationship with Iam. You are officially no longer." Wait, what the foo? He demanded as the music intensified while he read the last bit of the message. Maidenless. Ah, he's so triggered. Neil laughed. That's not nice though. Sai asked for help, then makes fun of him for not having a girlfriend up until now. Velvet pouted. It's friendly jabs, take it easy. You gotta get your laugh somewhere, even if it is at a friend's expense. Long as it's all in good fun. Isn't that right, street rat? Roman asked, poking Emerald with his cane. Go get eaten by a grim. The dark-skinned girl snapped. See? Roman asked. Let's just say he was seething with inner rage while having a blank stare at that last word. Well, good thing Sai's not in camera with him right now. Nora said. Yeah, but now I'm feeling sorry for whatever monster he has to go and fight. John said. A bamboo forest was seen at night. A bamboo forest at night. The sound of dancing is heard. A deep male voice narrated as a strange figure was seen hopping through the forest. It almost looked like a living parasol on one leg, resembling a parasol, but in truth a monstrous bird. The narrator spoke as the creature lifted its head, then opened its wings to reveal itself to be a magnificent-looking crane with scaly skin and a very impressive crest on its head. Be wary of its figure and its vibrant hue. For once its collar opens, a rain of blood will ensue. The narrator warned as the bird stalked through the forest, before stumbling across a small group of Ultron, snatching up and devouring several of the giant ants in its beak. However, it suddenly seemed to detect something behind it and ominously looked over its shoulder at whatever attempted to sneak up on it. A few squinted as they tried to see the strange figure at night. Hey, anyone else having a hard time seeing whatever this thing is? Crows don't have good night vision. That counts for me, too. Looks like an umbrella on a pogo stick. Crow said. Those are wings. It's a bird cloaking itself with its own wings. That's pretty smart, Ilya admitted. A crane, to be more specific. And quite the majestic one at that. Mostly white and orange plumage. Adam added. However, this explanation proved to be unnecessary, as almost immediately after Adam spoke, the bird revealed itself in all its glory. Oh, well, thanks for the explanation, guys, but I don't think we need it now. Yang said, the two former white band members sighing and rolling their eyes. Coco then whistled. But gotta say, you nailed the majestic part, Adam. Totally digging the feathers on its wing. Same for the crest. It's like the feathers reflected light. I bet they'd look great in some hats. She said, admiring the monster's plumage. Henny, however, with HD robot eyes with zoom in and enhance functions, noticed something peculiar about the creature's feathers, but decided not to say anything yet. The monster's basic information then appeared on the screen. Aknosom. Size. 25 to 34 feet. Weapons. Wings. Beak. Head crest. Clawed legs. Venomous fire. Weaknesses. Water. Thunder. Blast. Diet. Insects and other small animals. 25 to 34 feet? That's quite the sizable bird. Hazel admitted. And did it say the fire is also venomous? Impressive. So far, the only other thing we've seen do that was Espinas. Cinder praised. And that's not even the craziest thing they do. Teko said silently with a smirk. Illustrations of two strange creatures were shown, the first being a living Mistralian umbrella, the second being a fire-breathing crane. analogous to the Kasuobe, a ghost yokai disguised as a Japanese oil paper umbrella, and the Bazin. Due to its fall-like features and fire powers, the Aknosom is usually a timid, curious insectivore that goes about its day preening its wings and crest, preying upon Alteroths. Speaking of the wings, they're basically modified forearms that look closely more to a bat or bird. The wing shape is almost similar to the dinosaur and Bopteryx. Raka Saripa explained as he observed the creature eating out of an Alteroth den, before showing their frame of their wing, then a flying dinosaur with a similar wing shape. Many were shocked at the two yokai. Okay, I was kidding when I was talking about the umbrella on a pogo stick. What the hell is that thing? Crow asked. A Kasuobe, like he just said. Jeez, you ever pay attention? Teko teased. They're basically ghosts that have either turned into or possess an umbrella, then hop around and cause mischief. Katana explained, before noticing the worried looks on the audience's face. Playful, harmless mischief, don't worry. They're never out to hurt anybody. The worst they'll do is lick you. She assured them. Gross, but kind of cool at the same time. RWBY said, I was definitely expecting worse from something that looked like that. Winter said, and what about the other one? The Bazin, right? Blake asked. Oh, well, you basically already know all you need to. It's a giant rooster that breathes fire. However, the fire is actually cold and doesn't burn. That's basically all we know about it. Katana told her. Fascinating. Cold fire. I never would have thought of such a thing. Glinda said, amazed. It is actually possible to create cold fire. A few methods, actually. It's generally not a natural reaction, though, as gravity normally makes it impossible. But with gravity dust creating a microgravity environment, it becomes possible. We just have no practical use for it. Ironwood said. Strange circumstances leading to fantastical tales. This is one of the many reasons folklore has always amazed me. Ashvin said with a smile. Raka then continued to talk about the beast, revealing a shocking surprise about its wing structure. Wait, those aren't feathers? But they look exactly like them. Weiss said in shock. Indeed, they do. However, I was able to observe them closer thanks to my robotic eyes. And it is indeed true. Those are simply stretched out scales on its leathery wings. Quite surprising, but also quite fascinating. Penny admitted. So, it's not a bird, it's a bat. That's awesome. Nora said in amazement. Technically, they aren't either. They're reptiles, right? Since they're still wyverns. Ren asked. Honestly, who knows at this point? Most of these things seem to be hybrids between lizards and mammals, fish, birds, etc. Classifications are more suggestions at this point, based on what their closest relatives are, like Acantor and Eucamellos being flying wyverns, because they're related close enough to Tigrex. Katana told him, oh well, all I know is that the cute little flying dinosaur was super cool. I love its wing shape. RWBY said happily. Yeah, what she said. So, its cool Aknosom has the same wing shape. Yang agreed. Aknosom then stood in its umbrella-like pose. The Aknosom also has a very flexible neck, which is capable of helping it fold itself in with its wings sort of as a way to disguise it and protect itself. The flexible neck also helps it locate danger and food in a 360 degrees view. And it also works as a way to help clean its back along with its very sharp and very strong beak, which can manipulate the armor of Alteroth and other insects. The beak also gets into nooks and crannies of its wings and different parts of his body to clean itself. The host informed as an Aknosom was seen wandering all throughout the shrine ruins, occasionally preening itself. That's pretty cool. It's like having eyes in the back of your head, without being super disgusting and creepy. John said, indeed. I always thought it was impressive how owls can turn their heads almost the entire way around. I almost wished humans could do it, but then I realized that would actually be terrifying. Kira agreed. Preening itself? As in grooming? I can appreciate the need to look good. Coco praised. I'm pretty sure for animals, it's about staying clean, keeping bugs and parasites off of them, and repairing their feathers by fixing separations between them. Emerald pulled the fashionista, causing her to deflate a bit. I could always be both. Velvet said, trying to stick up for Coco. The Aknosom folded its wings in front of itself defensively as it fought with Raka. Also, as a defensive or a cover-up stance, their wings can shape into somewhat of an umbrella as a way to create artificial shade. Usually the small animal or fish move towards the shade when they're in very hot conditions, not knowing it is a trap for the Aknosom to stab it with its beak. This is very similar to what the black heron does when it does the umbrella trick to catch fish. The sword and shield user explained as a dark feathered heron was shown wading through the water, folding its wings over its head to make shade for foolish fish. Defense and a lure for prey. Quite useful. Hazel admitted with a nod of acknowledgement. Gaming the system. I like it. Roman praised. Cheaters always prosper. Neo declared. Blake's eyes shined at the mention of the black heron using this trick to catch fish. I need to bring an umbrella next time I go fishing, she said. Ilya giggled. As soon as I heard him mention fish, I knew you would want to try it. She teased her girlfriend. The Aknosom was seen hopping through the forest in its umbrella pose again. Now, when it's not hunting or when it's trying to not get away from danger, usually the Aknosom will move throughout its day, usually hopping around on one foot close to the time. Why it does this? To prevent heat loss. Birds with smaller legs like doves can hunker their body down, so their legs can be close to their warm body temperature. Rocker explained as picture of a pink dove was shown. However, the birds with longer legs in proportion to their body, like sandpipers, don't have that luxury. So usually, they stand on one foot with the other close their body as a way to prevent heat loss. It's also energy efficient, and it helps keep balance when Aknosom fights. The face-painted hunter added as sandpipers were seen hopping along the shore of a beach. I can't be the only one who thinks it looks ridiculous hopping from one foot to the other, right? Adam asked. Nope, I was thinking the same thing. Looks like those pervs in trench coats at the mall before they open them up and flash you. Young admitted. Yep. Or like an assassin trying to sneak through a place unnoticed. Nora agreed, narrowing her eyes dramatically. Same here. Looks fishy to me, like he's hiding something. And it just looks stupid, like putting up your hands in front of your face and going, I'm not here. Crow confirmed. Oh, come on, guys. I think it's cute. Summer said, defending the creature. I find it rather elegant, actually. Like a woman wearing a kimono. Run at it. And it's true what Rakasuria just said. Long-legged birds can't afford to let any body heat escape, so they have to hold a leg to their chest to keep them warm. Indeed, birds have a rather hard time regulating their body heat, so they have to do everything they can to warm up or cool down, like how shoebills and marabou storks defecate on their legs to stay cool. Penny elaborated, causing several audience members to grimace. Defecate. Asked a few less knowledgeable members of the audience, RWBY, Nora, Velvet, Neo. Poop. Their respective sources of knowledge, Weiss, Run, Coco, and Cinder, all answered. EWWW. The formerly oblivious voices cried out. Aknosom was then seen taking off into the air. Unlike most flying bird wyverns, Aknosoms are able to fly in higher elevations thanks to its well-developed specialized niche. But at the same time, they don't have very powerful flaps and have to use the higher elevations wind currents to get them through long distances. The host informed as the bird wyvern landed in another a relatively short distance from the one it left. Wait, the flying bird wyverns aren't good at flying? What kind of sense does that make? Cinder asked. It happens, there's plenty of birds that aren't great at flying, but they still do when they really need to, like chickens, turkeys, and peacocks. Emerald answered. Yeah, most bird wyverns like to stay on the ground and really only fly when they have to escape predators, but it's pretty to see they're rather awkward in the air. Razara elaborated, briefly changing the video to show a clip of a Yian Kutku fleeing a Yian Garuga, mostly staying on the ground and only flying as a last resort. And only until it managed to maneuver around something to stall the Garuga, giving it a chance to land and run away. Yep. But Aknosom is among that rare few that are actually decent flyers. Teko told them. Respect. Coco said. Raka rode in on his palamute towards the crane monster, leaping off the doggo and slashing the bird beast. So, what should you do when you're trying hunting them? Well, when I first started this fight, it immediately unleashed its strongest attack. So pay attention. It conceals itself in an umbrella-like position, does a backflip kick, and then sends out a barrage of fireballs that will bounce along the ground. Kind of like a certain character that throws spicy meatballs. Rocker explained as the Aknosom leapt back to a safe distance, firing a rather large number of small fireballs that bounced along the ground, then cutting to a mustachioed man throwing bouncing fireballs at living mushroom monsters. Quite a few members of the audience had their jaws hit the floor at this. Did the fireballs just bounce? Velvet asked. Okay, what the hell? I know I stopped drinking. Did someone slip me something? Crow questioned. No, I'm seeing it too. How is that possible? Are you certain these creatures aren't magic? Hazel asked. Yeah, we're not entirely sure how it works either, but rest assured, it is happening, you're not crazy. Razara assured them. Yeah, these guys must be pretty heavy hitters, because it looks like Rock is struggling quite a bit with them. Roman said. He's holding back to get the footage he needs. That's one of the weakest weapons he has. It wouldn't be a very informative video if he killed the thing in 1 minute. Katana told him. The elegant bird wyvern then charged forward with its head down and crest expanded. Its beautiful crest can also be used as a physical battering ram or spear to pin you, along with devastating swipes with its wings and dangerous kicks. When enraged, its wings and crest will immediately flare up with pure intimidation, sometimes with plumes of fire basically coming out of his mouth. Not to mention, its deadly combos of attacks can get unpredictable at times when in this state, so make sure to be on your toes. The sword and shield user warned as the creature employed strange and wild, yet almost dance-like movements. Ooh, its movements are so elegant. Some are set in awe. Indeed. So fluid and natural. It's almost like it's dancing. Weiss agreed, amazed. I'd actually say its movements are similar to some of the martial arts I know, ironically based after the crane style of those martial arts. Ren noted, impressed. Well, some legends state people learn martial arts by observing the animals the style is named after out in nature. Maybe there's some truth to it. Katana said. As the creature became enraged and more unpredictable, the hunter blinded the beast with a flashbang to have a moment of peace. It's also really good to at least have some flash pods on you, or at least make sure your palico has a flashing device to disorientate it and give you breathing room. The host explained as he tried to roll away, only for the Aknosom to catch him with absolute haymaker of a wing swipe. And it smacked him right on his bum and sent him rolling. Afterward, he immediately got up, turning and staring straight at the bird wyvern with a much more serious look. Okay, really, man? Raka Saripa questioned, clearly not pleased. A few jumped from the whip sound effect when the beast smacked Raka's ass, before the less mature cast members began to laugh. Oh my, Nora said in a lewd manner. Never thought we'd see a monster slap someone on the ass like that, Blake said, barely containing her laughter. You totally wish that was you, don't you? Emerald asked, causing Blake to blush. So, I guess Aknosom must be into some pretty rough stuff, Coco said suggestively. Kinky, Yam said with a smirk. Belinda could only groan at the comments her students are making. These are the next offenders of our world, she lamented. A black background with dark blue painted flowers then appeared. Later, a narrator with a thick accent, narrated, before Aknosom fell into a poisoned pitfall trap with a scream of "my leg." Yikes. This guy takes it seriously when someone slaps him back there, doesn't he? Crow asked. Obviously. Who wouldn't? Winter scoffed. I can scarcely think of any huntsman or huntress in Atlas who would tolerate such disrespect. Ironwood agreed. From another person, I might agree, but this was simply an animal. I doubt it meant it. I'm sure it was fine striking him anywhere it could actually land a strike. Ashvin reminded them, and Rocco was quick to pounce on the trapped beast. Don't you dare smack my behind again, you damn bird. He growled as he started teeing off on Aknosom. As stated before, they can use their wings along with the wind currents in higher elevations to move around great distances, as they can be seen from the shrine ruins, to the frosted islands, and to even the jungle. Yes, that jungle. The host elaborated as the two other locales he mentioned were shown, an icy lake and a lush jungle. The jungle makes sense, and I can even understand it living in those shrine ruins, but it actually manages to live in the Frost Islands. How? I'm freezing just thinking about it, Ilya said, hugging herself as if to combat the cold. What can we say? They're pretty stubborn birds. They'll go wherever they want even if it kills them. Razara said. Yeah, and the same goes with fighting. It has two turf wars with monsters way bigger than it. A Leviathan known as Somnicanth, and Magnamalo. Teko declared, leaving everyone in shock. I don't know if that's bravery or stupidity, John said, struggling to process what he just heard. Considering everything we know about Magnamalo, definitely the latter. Cinder told him, well, Magnamalo would kill it for a meal once it spotted it anyway, so at least it's going down swinging. Gotta give it respect for that. Adam admitted. A decently tall bird was seen walking through the dry desert plains. Quick little fact about Aknosom. When I was watching it doing its kicks, its legs and the way they're structured almost reminded me of that of the secretary bird, which also kind of gives Aknosom an extra defense when they're eating the Alterots, which can bite them back. Just like how the secretary bird's thick scales can defend it against snake bites. Rocco explained as an image of the bird's legs and their tough scales were shown, covered in blood, but not the bird's. Extra defenses around vital or vulnerable areas is always a good thing. Velvet nodded with a smile. Does it look to anyone else like that bird's wearing yoga pants? Ruby asked, causing several less mature audience members to burst out laughing. I do not believe we should be laughing at that bird, friends. It looks rather powerful and threatening. Penny said, oh, they are. A kick from a secretary bird could shatter all the bones in your hand. Teko said, causing everyone to wince at that thought. And Aknosom is even bigger and stronger, so who knows what IT could break with its kicks. Kira said in concern. The sword and shield user was seen in combat with the bird wyvern once again. If you are going to go for an ailment, I usually recommend use either thunder or blast. I would also recommend using a blunt weapon or any sticky / explosive / physical ammo that could easily disorientate and break off body parts. The host explained as a list of the bird's elemental and ailment weaknesses were shown. Additionally, using any water attacks or having it in a water area will hinder its fire attacks and slow it down. Blast, huh? You wouldn't expect that weakness from a fire monster. Cinder said, well, Funny you say that, since Lunastras like yours are weak to blast as well. Fire is one thing, but the concussive force behind big explosions do just as much, if not more damage. Rizara told her. Other than that, though, that's pretty much a standard approach most of us could have guessed. Ironwood said, "Oh, water would also be very helpful against it. And if you can, try to lure it to a watery area, where its fireballs would get put out once they hit the ground." Katana advised, "See, now that's helpful. I always thought it was cool whenever there was something in the environment you could take advantage of against the monster, like side-tricking that Fulgur Anjanath into causing an avalanche in that Hoarfrost Reach place." John said, "The Aknosom armor for both male and female hunters is shown, as well as the monster's greatsword and lance, wielded by the male and female hunters respectively. Here is its beautiful armor and some of its weapons. And if you ever want to start in the fire element department for weapons and armor, this is one of the better paths you can go." The face-painted hunter informed as the armor for the Palamute and Palico were then shown. Ooh, not bad. The night look is pretty badass, and the colors really work well together. Coco observed with an impressed look on her face. "I definitely wasn't expecting a night look from a monster like that, but it works quite well. I like the fins." Ren praised as well. Then, many of the women cooed when they saw the armor on the animal companions. Look at them. They look so cute. Summer gushed. "Oh my gosh. We need that armor for RWBY." Ruby cried out, he corgi barking happily in agreement. "Oh, just look at that doggo in that armor. He's a powerful and honorable knight who will protect the kingdom on his honor, isn't he?" "Oh, yes he is." Weiss Baby talked the image of the Palamute in Aknosom armor on the screen. "Jeez, Schnee. Tone it down a bit." Rizara said, "Never." Weiss declared. The Aknosom was clearly beaten and exhausted, the hunter capitalizing on this by placing down another pitfall trap and capturing the bird wyvern. Overall, this beautiful dance of flames teaches you about fluidity and also to not overcommit to your style of combat. However, do not think your training is over yet, because there will be a follow-up to this on the next day, and it will cover Great Roggy and Great Baggy in the Frost Islands and in the Old Jungle. Until then, though, rest. Raka finished as he stretched now that the hunt was finally completed, before everything went black. "Don't overcommit to our styles." "What does that mean?" Young asked it. "It means to not be a one-trick pony. Mix things up a little. Think outside the box. Because if you've only got one thing going for you, it makes you predictable. And once people figure out how to predict and counter that one thing, you're finished." Crow told her, "Indeed. Be it these monsters or the Grim, they are wild animals, ferocious and unpredictable. So we must be equally unpredictable in order to stem the tide, in order to ensure victory and survival." Oshpin elaborated. "Quite. That's a lesson I had to learn quite early to stay the champion in the Mistral Regionals for so long. But it's a very important lesson to learn, so it's nice to see hunters learn this lesson from such an elegant and beautiful monster." Kira said with a smile. "Well, you guys know what's next." Katana said, "I loved it. It was super cool and its bouncy fireballs were awesome. And its head crest was beautiful, too. It almost reminded me of a Dilophosaurus frills." Ruby said happily. Actually, Ruby, while the Dilophosaurus did have a head crest, there is no evidence to support them having large neck frills or spitting venom. That was entirely made up for the Cretaceous Park series, along with the belief that a T-Rex's sight was based on movement. Penny corrected her. This earned her a glare from both Ruby and Yang. "Dang it, Penny. Weiss and Blake are already big enough killjoys. We don't need another." Yang told her, ignoring the glares she was now getting from her teammates. "Well, I do think it's rather elegant. Cranes are almost always beautiful. but I find its head crest a bit strange. Something like that having scales on it instead of feathers just seems weird for a bird. Weiss said. But if you remember, Weiss, it isn't a bird. It's still probably closer to a reptile. Summer reminded her. I agree completely, Summer. So the crest being covered in scales instead of feathers makes much more sense to me. And it's quite beautiful that way. The crest almost looks like a flower when fully flared up. Belinda agreed. I like its fighting style, too. Those were some really cool kicks. I might have to try some of those. Velvet added, you're not wrong, but at the same time, those kicks and just the way it moves in general, hopping around the place on one foot, it gives me vibes more like a dancer than a monster people would have to fight. Coco said, well, it's not the best fighter, relatively low on the food chain, but any animal can be a threat if it has to be. Rizara told her. So, what will we be seeing next? Ren asked. Oh, this is gonna be a fun one. You can relax a bit. It's not too high up the food chain, nothing too crazy. But Kurapiko is easily one of the most unique monsters you'll find out there. Katana said, starting the video.